Hello, welcome back to The Red Path. Today is episode 27 of WAAC Weekly. My name's Jack. This is the show where we look at Team Red Path news as well as world eats out in the world. This week, 483 games played. Huge week with a solid 54% win rate and 7 event wins, including a super major. Let's get into the video. So back to fairly normal service this week. Pretty massive week. Nearly 500 games played. And back the win rate back to where we kind of expect it to be, 54%. And that's despite me playing last weekend. So 483 games from 103 players. 7 event wins, including a super major. The rest were RTTs. And in terms of the rankings, Matthew Tweedle retains the top spot on 751.7 ITC points. Charlotte Quinn back into second place with a strong performance both last week and this week, getting up to 710.07. Michael Hooper remains in third on 706.44. Peter Duff in fourth on 692.66. Antonius Tolman in fifth with a strong performance this week on 692.48. In terms of the Red Path, Dara is in 18th. On 519.6. I'm in 20th on 513.96. And Jamie is in 34th on 464. Yeah, not too many events left in 9th now. It'll be interesting to see how the index shakes out for us. And how many players stick around with the new index. Blood Tithe is very popular, and Blood God's Blessings are fun, and I think still pretty good and strong. But yeah, we'll see. And on to ITC Team Red Path news. In action this week was me. I was at the Gothic Games GT in Canterbury in the UK. Played 4 of the 5 games. We'll get on to that in a sec. Round 1, I actually paired with the guy that I gave a lift from my local club. Lovely bloke. Plays Grey Knights very well. I had quite a tight game, so I won 92.78 in the end. Went second. It was a Khorne deployment mission, so I was fancying going first, but alas, the Eviscerated Berserkers were the MVPs. Pretty much all of them, all of the 7 Eviscerators that I have, did something ridiculous. So more than once, I think 3 or 4 times, Eviscerators at Berserkers were the last ones left in the squad, and they fought on death and picked up an entire combat squad of like interceptors, which was real funny. But yeah, no, it was a good fun game. He messed up a little bit. He made a mistake with a invuln. He had his once per game 3 up, which he forgot to pop. When Invocarts went into him, and then a load of Berserks went into him as well. And I think he was in the back of his mind expecting Invocarts to do a lot more than he actually did, because my Invocarts is terrible. But that might have swung the game. It meant I got his Grandmaster quite early on, when I didn't necessarily need to. But yeah, it was a good game. 92.78, pretty close. Round 2, matched into Imperial Fists. One of the 2 Imperial Fist players there. As many Imperial Fist players as there were World Eaters there. And he had 10 Desolation Marines. I got first turn, was able to pre-game move, killed some Infiltrators and a Redemptor. The Redemptor was more of a loss because he had a Tech Marine there specifically just to buff him up. And I also then had 8 pound on his home objective, turn 1. It was... What mission was it? I can't remember what mission it was. Might have been Data Scry. But it just allowed me to like take control of the board. Although he had a lot of shooting, a lot of very potent shooting. Exploding 6 bolter weapons is surprisingly good. But yeah, it was a really fun game. He was a really nice bloke. I ended up winning 90 points to 43. Although I think it was a lot closer than that suggested. There were a couple of big swings. There was a big swing sort of turn 3, and then it sort of kept swinging that way. I just, was able to dominate. I got a bit lucky on my go turn. And I think, so the score was the score was a bit unrepresentative of how close the game was, I think. But as I say, really nice game. So I went into game 3 on Saturday, 2-0, into one of a very good player who I played at the London Open, the Iron Hands list at London Open, who I played, I think, game 4. So that was when the last time I played him, I had my Bloodthirster and Angron list. This time I was running my Sweaty Invocatus list, and it was a lot closer. I went first, so I was able to alpha to a certain extent, although it actually really didn't achieve that much more than penning him in. My one squad of 4 went into some Terminators, though they had a Shrug, which made it quite inefficient, which in hindsight probably a bad choice. But the other squad went into, well, the other squad tried a multi-charge because he'd blocked off some stuff, but I fancied an 8-inch into his Carriage Dreadnought with my other squad of 4. The Carriage Dreadnought did the Overwatch on 5s and killed 3 of the 8-pound, which was not ideal. And it meant that I was unable to complete the charge because the 3 units were too spread out. So I couldn't even roll it. The clapback was quite funny when he charged. He left the lone 8-pound champion alive and to slingshot with some charge movement and charged him with 3 Blade Guard. I fought on death for 2 CP and killed the whole squad of Blade Guard with him, which was very funny. Not for him, but very funny. It ended up being a really tight game. I think I played it quite well, but it was quite tight. I ended up losing that one 72-77. A lot closer than the last game I played against him. It's a good one. Round 4 happened. I was against a Necron player. He's been around. I played him ages ago, back when he was first getting started in the tournament scene. And it was played in pretty good spirits the whole way through. And then right at the end, we were over time. I don't think either of us was being particularly slow. In particular, I don't know. Clearly, both of us were being a bit slower. And it was quite a tight game, so we were being a bit more considerate towards the end. Okay, so the submitted score was 78-84, a loss for me. But the score should have been 82-81. We got to my turn 5 over time. He told me he was on 82. I thought he was on 81, but the game had been playing in good spirits, and he was convinced. So I was like, "Cool, you're on 82," and I was like, "Okay, I can move on to this objective, take it off you, and put banner up for a point at the end of the game, as well as some other banners that were up around the board." It was tied to conviction. There was some other stuff I could have done, but it involved very long charges, so it was like, in fact, no, what he'd set up outside of charge range, so I couldn't. There was some other that was the only way I could increase my score aside from putting up banners, basically. And my score then with that capped out at 82. So I was like, okay, so that'll be an 82 all draw, but I could make this play, which was basically Invocatus and a Spawn charging, I want to say 10 Necron Warriors in an attempt to kill them. And it would get me Blood God Stew because there was one of them towing onto an objective. One of his home ones, it was like conga lined out. So I was like, okay, because I need to get 83 to win, I'll make that play because I want to win rather than draw. And it didn't come off. It allowed him to reanimate onto an objective, one of my home objectives, for a 7-point swing because it denied me getting hold more, and it got him 3 points on overrun for taking the objective off me. At that point, he was like, let's check the scores, let's count up, because we knew it was really close. And he basically realised, oh lol, I was on 81 at the start of your turn 5. And then was basically like, lol, no takebacks. So I was like, cool. Like, I obviously wouldn't have made the play if I didn't need to get 83 to beat the 82. So anyway, let me know in the comments if you think I'm being ridiculous, if I'm like crazy for thinking that feels like quite bad sportsmanship. If I'm being nuts on that, tell me if I'm wrong. Happily tell me if I'm wrong. Just didn't feel great at the table. because we had the discussion where I was like, I can get to 82 without interacting with your army, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I'm going to do that. And then he was like, I want 82. And I was like, oh, I've only got you on 81. But if you're on 82, sure, I need to make the play. But then, yeah, it just feels, I don't know. It probably was an honest mistake, but it feels like I was lied to. And that was what lost me the game. Gaslit was the word that my some of my other club mates used, but I'm not going to, yeah. Also to note is it's a guy from the same club as the Deep Strike thing a few months ago. I don't know if I actually went into that in the video. There was another instance of no takebacks taken to an extreme at the same at Canterbury tournament against a guy from the same club, different guy, same club. So yeah, it was a pretty sour end to the tournament, pretty sour end to the edition. Obviously, I was doing quite well at the tournament until then, but I basically packed up and went home because I just couldn't be asked. I was tilted off the face of the earth. So I'm probably like off tournaments for now until the Warhammer World one that me and Dara have got booked in August. I'm going to try and get some hobby done, but just feeling a bit down on the hobby in general at the moment. So we'll have a look at my list, which is that's here. It's basically the same one as I ran at my tournament a couple of weeks ago at the Rochester one. So Invocatus with his Warlord trait, Demon Prince with Talisman of Rage continues to be really good. I had four Berserkers go into 18 Necron Warriors with 6s to hit auto wound, and then like hitting on 2s and exploding 6s to hit, and they killed 18 of them through an invuln, which is pretty good. I should have used Gory Dismemberment, but didn't, because I thought I was going to get to fight with another squad, and then I killed way more than I was expecting, so he just pulled out of engagement range, which fair play, but I wasn't expecting to kill that many. 7 squads of Berserkers, 2 of them have icons. 2 squads of 4 8-bound, 1 squad of 3 exalted 8-bound, all with the 3 damage on the champions, 3 spawn, 2 rhinos, and 1 war dog with Mirror of Fates. War dog continued to do decent amount of work, got me the odd 2 blood tithe points where it was pretty useful. I did find myself thinking a lot about target priority, which I think is making me better at that aspect of the game, so that's good. Yeah, and I just really like the playstyle. I think I'm going to stick to like tradey armies rather than big smash armies, because I'm not very good at big smash armies, I don't think. Yeah, that's me. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm being an idiot about that last game, because I don't know, just didn't feel great at the table after what had been a fairly fun, chill game / weekend in general. Yeah, just didn't sit right. On to World Eaters tournament performances. So 19 really strong performances this week, finishing in the top 15% of the events. That'll be 19 lists into the unit matrix that we'll go through at the end. We will be taking a look at the top 5 lists. So after a couple of weeks of not having too many to look through, there are 5 this week, finishing the top 5% of their events. Up first, we have Matthew Dennis, who finished 7th at 146 player major, the Motor City Mayhem 2023. Who went 5-1. So it's Invocatus with his Warlord trait, 2 squads of 10 Jackals, 4 squads of 5 Berserkers, 3 squads of 5 8-bound, 3 squads of 3 exalted 8-bound, 3 spawn, 2 rhinos. Yes, basically an adapted Invocatus bum rush list, which has 2 squads of Jackals instead of 2 bare bone squads of Jackals actually, instead of the 5th squad of Berserkers and the 2nd character, I'm gonna guess. And it's bumped all the squads of 8-bound up to 5 as well. Yeah, I mean, it's a fairly solid list. It's fairly brutally simple, and clearly piloted very well by Matthew, finishing 5-1. 7th at 146 player major is no mean feat. Yeah. Up next, we have James Sykes, who finished first place at a 32 player RTT, the Midweek Masters RTT, in Leeds. He obviously went 3-0. And so Invocatus in the Warlord trait, Demon Prince with Talisman of Rage, Jackal with a Skull Smasher, 2 4 5s and a 10 of Berserkers, 5 5 4 8-bound, 3 exalted 8-bound, 2 spawn, 2 rhinos. Yeah, I mean, this has got some good stuff. Obviously, Talisman of Rage, I love to see it. I think it's strong, especially on 8-bound using the pre-game. Means you can send them into slightly harder targets than you otherwise would. So stuff that you might be winning on 5, so toughness 8, toughness 9 stuff, which is starting to crop up. Obviously 2 big units of 8-bound going forwards, or 1-on-1, depending on what you want to commit. Really strong fonts at a decent sized RTT. Congratulations. Up next, we have Ryan Cara, who finished 3rd place at 106 player major, the Rocky Top Rumble 40k major. This list went 6-1-1, 8-game tournament, great. But so 6 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. Invocards with his Warlord trait, Demon Prince with Helm and Brazen Eyes to the -1 to Wound Relic, 4 squads of 5 Berserkers, 2 squads of 6 8-bound, don't see that very often, 2 squads of 3 Exalted 8-bound, and they both have Chain Glaives, Dara will like that, 3 Spawn, 1 Rhino, and 2 Huntsmen, who are worthy offerings. Huntsmen are the equivalent of the Warglaives, so they have the Chain Glaive and the Chainsword thing, big Chainsword, and the Thermal Spear, or the Demon Breath Spear, whatever. Just adding some anti-tank, I guess, or like some dedicated ranged anti-tank. With 2 of them and with worthy offerings, I guess they're a bit more reliable. Still don't love the low volume of shots, but clearly it works. And my results are bad and his results are good, so take what you will from that. Really solid list. Good to see a different flavour of Knight being used to great success. And some big squads of 8-bound. Another mark in favour of the heavy Chain Glaives. Good solid list. Congrats on the 3rd place finish. Up next, we have James Carmona, who finished 2nd place at the 152 player Frontline Gaming BAO, the Bay Area Open. This list went 6-0, so it was undefeated. Invocards with his Warlord trait, just 1 big squad of Berserkers, 10 of them, 3 squads of 3 3 squads of 3 normal 8-bound, 2 squads of 3 Exalted 8-bound, 2 Spawn, a Land Raider, a Drill with Heavy Flamers, and 3 Executioners with Mirror of Fates and worthy offerings. I mean, that's a lot of shooting in the World Eaters list. The Land Raider and the 3 Executioners is pretty good, fills that niche, and you still have a decent number of trade units. The Berserkers are presumably coming out of the Drill with the Icon and the double Eviscerators. And then the 8-bound. I don't know, actually. I guess you can fit a lot of 8-bound in a Drill at the moment because of the fucking keyword oversight. Although he does have his Warlord trait, so I guess 3, 6, 9. Yeah, I mean, it gives you options, right? You can fit some of the 8-bound into the Land Raider for some games. You can fit all of the Berserks into the Land Raider for some games. You can fit most of the 8-bound into a Drill for some games, or you can fit the Berserks in the Drill for some games. It gives you a lot of flexibility, and obviously you want to utilise the pre-game move, which will probably be two little squads of 8-bound. You won't feel too bad about trading away 2 squads of 120 points. And then you have Wave 2, which is a load of 8-bound in a Land Raider or a Drill, and Berserkers in the other one. And then you've got a lot of backline shooting. So the Land Raider obviously has decent lance cannons. The Executioners pump out a decent amount of damage, especially 3 of them, and are 5 models and obsec for your backfield. It's just a really cool take on World Eaters, I think. Shocker, I love a shooty list. Obviously a really strong pilot as well. 2nd place at 152 player Super Major. Really good, really well played. Finally, we have a major winner. This was 1st place at 176 major in Spain. This list went 5-0. So Invocatus, no Warlord trait, 10 Jackals with an Icon and Skull Smasher, 3 squads of 5 Berserkers with Eviscerators and Icons, 3 squads of 4 8-bound with Lacerators, 3 squads of 3 Exalted 8-bound with Chain Fist, 3 Spawn, a Rhino, and an Angron. This list is very similar to one that also did quite well at the Bay Area Open. I believe it's the Bay Area Open. Taylor Davis' list from I think he went 16th. It's a really strong Angron list. I think this is probably the best Angron list you can run, in my opinion. But I'm would be happy to be disproven on that. because it's got a bit of everything. I mean, the 8-pound, we know the 8-pound is strong. We've got Berserkers with icons to fit in the Rhinos or to come out of Strat Reserve as just annoying trade pieces. We've got 10 Jackals for backfields that can, or Strat Reserve that can pose a threat. Angron is obviously Angron. Invocatus is Invocatus. And then you've got a lot of 2 and 3 damage with the 8-pound and the Exalted 8-pound for different targets. This is Raven. Don't know what that name is, but has had some very strong results recently. And yeah, this list is just really solid. I would say if you're looking to run an Angron list and run pure World Eaters, this is what you should run. Yeah, that'd be my opinion. And then finally onto the unit matrix. So just a record of what units as well as how much of each was in the top lists. So there were 19 lists in the that went into the matrix this week. That's lists that finished in the top 15% of their events. So let's take a look. Obviously, there was a Disciples list is the first thing to say. That's why Berserkers weren't in all of them. 8-pound went in all of them, but that's just a thing. The other thing to note is that not all the lists were Invocatus or Angron. There was a list that had a Juggerlord with Favoured of Khorne that did very well this week. So Favoured of Khorne is the Warlord trait that you may not have seen, which is gain a Blood Tithe point in your command phase. Dara's used it. Dara used it at Fest, in fact. But yeah, it's good to see someone breaking out of that box. Obviously, 8-pound spawn, the usual suspects at the top. We then have a decent amount of Knight Allies again. Executioners mostly again, although as we just saw, there was a list that used Huntsman. Interesting to look at some of the stuff down the bottom here. I think there was one of the lists at Bay Area Open. I think the one that went 18th was Angron and the boys, which was Angron, Lord of Skulls, Khitan, Greater Brass Scorpion, Invocatus, and like 5 Berserkers. And that was the list, and it went like 4 and 2, I think, and finished 18th, so didn't score that badly either. Yeah, but these are some of the niche units that maybe if you're like not sure about using them, they can be effective. So 30 Jackals, 10 Fleshhounds, Lamb Raider. Obviously, we went through that list. Disciples have been doing all right. There's been the odd list popping up here and there throughout the book. And then obviously the big boys, they're just sure. If you have them in your collection, it's the end of an edition. Why not get them out? They can still be competitive. People like there was a great Brass Scorpion at my tournament this weekend, and I think he went 4 and 1. People just won't be able to deal with it sometimes. Like one of the games he played was Grey Knights, and he just yeeted his Great Brass Scorpion, and there was nothing he could do about it. So enjoy yourselves, is what I'm saying. And then finally on to the great game. So taking a look at the number of Godline Legion players for each god. World Eaters continue to rise up to 616 this week. Death Guard up to 507. Thousand Suns at 316 and Emperor Children 139. Yeah, I mean, kind of what we expected. Be interesting to see how those numbers change or if people start catching up with the new index rules. Yeah, obviously we are getting towards the end of an edition. There will be an episode skipped in the near future just because I'm away with work. But I'll maybe get someone to step in for that. Don't know. We'll see. Yeah, obviously new edition soon. We've heard, I think rumours are 10th of June pre-order and a 2-week pre-order, so 24th of June release date. Problematic for me because I'm flying on the 10th. But we'll see. What are you doing to prep for the new edition? Tell us in the comments. Tell us in Discord. Join the Discord. Links down below. Are you starting a new army? Are you revisiting an old army? Are you playing World Eaters? Are you playing not World Eaters? Tell us what army you're playing. Send us pictures of your cool models. All of that good stuff. Yeah. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Everything helps out the channel. Dara's got All Around the World Eaters starting up again. Season 2 will be exclusively on Spotify. There's a link down below for that too. But most importantly, guys, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill Mayhem.